Welcome to That's No Class. I'm Brian Berumen.
And I'm Morgan Darian.
Welcome back to the home of class, where we talk about the most interesting and funny things happening in the news and in our lives, try to figure out how to live classy, and call out no-class moves.
This week in news, Brian covers cryptocurrency. I relay 2 sports stories. In our segment, Reporters, we take on the human body. Brian writes a letter to our friends up north. And as always, we end with our no-class fix.
We got lots of listener feedback this week, which is amazing. A bunch of new listeners. Thank you all for being here and hanging out with us. One listener confirms the dairy industry is in cahoots with the U.S. government. The evidence? Stuffed crust pizza.
Yes.
Never forget. All right, let's get to some news.
Now here's the news.
Okay, Bitcoin has been in the news lately because after years of being down from its peak and all these other cryptocurrencies crashing and burning, Bitcoin itself has been doing really well in the last couple months. In January, ETFs were approved by the Securities and Exchange Commission, which is a complicated thing to explain, but it means people could start making bets on Bitcoin on the stock market. That basically created a boom in Bitcoin. It was at $42,000 in January. This week, it broke the record, hitting $70,000. That's for one Bitcoin. And if you're not up on this whole cryptocurrency thing, it would be like the equivalent of every dollar you own suddenly being able to buy way more than it could before. It's not inflation. It's like the opposite. The currency is actually worth more.
Oh, like the different countries.
Yes, it's currency.
It's its own country.
Yeah, it's like the internet's currency, but it's not actually. But yeah, close. So my friend told me he bought some Bitcoin 3 years ago.
Okay.
He bought it at its probably price peak, and he says it's been down for so long that just now he's back in positive territory, which just shows how much the price can fluctuate. For 3 years, this thing could be low.
Okay.
But soon, something called a halving, like cut in half, halving, will happen. And it's this crazy thing that I learned about, and I had no idea. So there's only a certain number of Bitcoins in existence.
Which is why, it's like gold.
That is a really good comparison, and I was going to do that at the end.
I'm
that's really, that's great. It's great. You're with me here. I'm glad that you're with me. Okay. So there's only a certain number of Bitcoins in circulation right now, but there's only a certain number total as well.
Okay.
And that's why they're called mining. Is because new ones get mined and then released out there.
This is so crazy.
It's crazy.
Okay.
Anyway, so when new ones get added, the people who mine them get rewarded. And so what they do is they get Bitcoins by mining. So they mine it, they find it, and then some of them get released out and some of them they get to keep.
I'm sorry. What is the activity of mining if you're not actually axing the ground?
Apparently, it's like a ton of computers linked together, and they do mathematical equations until it reaches some point that it has solved these problems, and then the Bitcoins pop into existence.
What?
Yeah, this stuff was designed years ago.
This is a game for whoever designed it. They're like, I'm going to make people do
Kind
this.
of. The dream was that, we're not going to be tied to the currencies of countries anymore, and we'll have this thing. The crazy thing is that it was worth nothing, and now suddenly it's worth a crazy amount.
How weird.
The story could go deeper and deeper, but I'm keeping it here.
Okay.
So yeah, this halving event. Bitcoin miners, right now they get 6.25 Bitcoins every time they mine what is called a block. They're blocks, okay? But in this halving event, Bitcoin miners will get that amount cut in half. They will go from getting 6.25 Bitcoins to 3.125 Bitcoins.
Yeah.
And this is built into the system, and the reason it happens is so that people get rewarded less, and that will kind of, chill the amount that people are trying to mine them because they'll get basically less money for doing it.
Sure.
And so that's supposed to kind of regulate it so it doesn't continue going on forever
up.
and devalue the currency.
Right.
So, but what happens is that when the halving event happens and the mining cuts down, that tends to make the price shoot up.
Right.
So people are expecting that in the next couple months when the newest halving event happens, then the existing amount of Bitcoin is going to be worth even more than it is now and have
your
some
friend's
huge spike.
I'm waiting for this moment.
I haven't even told him. I don't even know if he knows about this yet.
I would hope he does. If he's fool enough to buy some Bitcoin, you better know what's going on. Jeez Louise.
But yeah, so I didn't know anything about this. It's supposed to happen in April.
Damn.
And we'll see.
I'll pray for him.
The world is a wild place, these digital
That
currencies.
is really weird. It's weird that people can just make this
It is weird.
And so many people are like, yep, we're down.
Well, I thought that too, but then for some reason I was doing research on other currencies like the US dollar.
Yeah.
I used to think it was backed by gold. It's not. It's not backed by gold anymore.
It used to be.
Yeah, it used to be. Now, you know what it's backed by?
What?
The faith and credit of the U.S. government.
No, I mean...
So what's the difference between a digital currency and just like, yup, the dollar's worth that? It's cool.
Faith and credit. Isn't our country in like mad debt?
Yeah, mad debt. But we always pay it. So that means that dollar's worth it, I guess.
So crazy.
Okay, what do you got?
Okay, I have two stories. AP News came through for me again.
Always.
Both of them are sport related. And no, I'm not talking about the Hawkeyes winning the championship today in overtime. Such a great game. Go Iowa. I'm talking about two sporting events just as thrilling and important. The first takes place in the U.S. Mountain West. Have you heard of Skijoring or Skijoring? I don't know how to
no.
say it. It is a winter sport melding two cultures, the ski culture and the rodeo culture.
Okay.
Basically, they leave the snow on a road and build jumps on the left and right sides of the road, leaving the center flat. A horseman or woman races their horse down the middle of the road while a skier is hanging onto a rope attached to the horse and attempts to do jumps and obstacles while being pulled down the snowy street.
So it's like water skiing with a horse.
Yeah, on the snow.
And you're on the snow and you're doing jumps.
Yes.
Okay.
Sometimes they use dogs. Sometimes they use vehicles or small vehicles.
Cool.
Every winter, thousands of people turn up to this. The main one is in Leadville, Colorado. And this made me think I've heard of this place before, and I'm wondering now if this is the same place where there's runner and burro racing. I'm not 100% sure.
Oh, yeah, that one.
Isn't Leadville like they do some crazy races?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There are other skijoring events, but this one is billed as the granddaddy of them all. The personal stories in this article are too many, but if anyone wants, I'll send it your way. Such a cast of characters and injuries. The injuries are insane.
Oh, I'm sure.
One guy started wearing a cup because when you're a chunk of snow whipped off the horse's hoof and got him in the junk.
Dang,
he learned his lesson
think about
that year.
Like
Terrible.
ice, like a chunk of ice or something.
Oh, bad. Okay, my other news story is probably more well known. I'm guessing, but I didn't know about it. It's called the Florida Man Games. Have you heard of these?
I saw the headline.
Okay,
I saw the headline.
It's promoted as the most insane athletic showdown on earth. There's an eating contest, sumo-style wrestling while you're like keeping a pitcher of beer in your hand, reptile wrangling, dueling in the mud using pool noodles, a race that involves stealing bicycles, copper pipes, and, catalytic converters.
Yes.
One racer said he trained by riding around his neighborhood while carrying a second bike. It paid off because he won his heat.
Oh, nice.
There's also obstacle running while being chased by the cops.
Great.
The city only said no to doing anything involving drugs or nudity, so the makers of the games were like, okay.
Come on, man. It's the Florida Man Games. That's like, what?
They're like, some of the main things are missing,
Yeah,
but that's okay.
a little bit.
A resident was quoted as saying, I've lived in Florida my whole life. They're calling these events. I'm calling this effing Tuesday afternoon. He's like wiping like the chili off his face as he says this. Once I saw that quote, and I was like, I'm in.
That's an amazing quote. You pull out great quotes, man. I don't know. You got a career as a journalist, I tell you what.
It was great. $45 a ticket to go.
I would go, probably.
I would go, definitely.
Probably.
The judges and stuff, there was a female judge. They're like pushing for more female events for next year.
I mean, yes, absolutely. Gender equality everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so funny. I love it. You got personal news?
I do. I think finally, 38 years later, I am ready to move out of LA.
Oh, wow. I've been feeling it coming from you.
Yeah. I had an eye-opening experience this week in San Francisco, and I'm going to talk more about that in an open letter later in the show.
Yes.
But that's the big one for me right now.
This is big.
What about you?
Yesterday, I worked after having not slept for 24 hours, so I'm sorry if I'm still out of it for today's show. I'm trying to, focus. I can feel it. I'm still a little bit sleep-deprived, drunky drunk.
I'm glad you brought that up because I really wanted you to bring that up because I wanted to talk about it. It's crazy. You're not used to it. I'm used to it now at this point with my insane life. But
I don't know how you can live like this.
I didn't see you for 14 hours. She came home from work and then she was gone. It was crazy.
I slept because I feel like I'm still in a fever dream. I don't know what's happening right now.
It's a wild choose. Literally, I got into bed and she's like, "What day is it?
I did say that.
Is it night?
Immediately.
Is it day?" It was night.
I was startled. But you know how I'm always saying I'm a G as a waiter?
Yeah.
Made 0 mistakes during my shift. That's how strong my muscle memory is.
Yeah, you're stronger with adversity.
Yeah.
Quality.
My body was like, ranch for you, extra napkins for you, good morning. Want size of coffee? Oh, eggs ready, potato salad. Here's some syrup. You like hot sauce? And meanwhile, my brain is like, do, 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 do.
Not even aware. Very cool. I'm glad you survived and you're here with us today.
Oh, thank you.
Very important.
I'm hanging on.
All right, when we come back, how old is your body? We're going to try to find out. And then a little trip to the city by the bay. Thanks so much for being here with us. We love having you. We'll be right back. Welcome back. We like to talk facts, at least facts as much as we know them. And usually that involves going on a journey in search of those facts. So here's a segment we like to call The Reporters.
Is that a fact?
100%.
No, it's not a fact. It's just what I heard. It's just what I heard.
Okay.
All right, so this week Morgan and I were talking about getting healthier and blue zones and how we want to improve from where we're at now. And Morgan says, "It's okay. Your body replaces itself every 7 years." And I said, "Really? That sounds like something for the reporters." So what did you find in your research about this bold claim that you made so nonchalantly? Fran?
Okay, well, just a reminder to our listeners, I only use social media for these reporter segments.
Correct.
Okay, so I did not find anything using my social media sources, but I did find that supposedly there's a couple of doctors in Australia that discovered that poison in bee stings can obliterate certain types of breast cancer. So that was pretty cool. Also found this quote: "Our genetics load the gun, but our environment pulls the trigger." Very inspiring. Thanks, Instagram. And lastly, I found that a millionaire techie guy is giving his dad his blood, calling it super blood, and some pills to slow his dad's aging process, and claims his dad is now aging at the rate of 47 years old.
I feel like I've heard of this.
Okay, well,
I've heard of this one. Well, Lance Armstrong was doing those blood infusions.
So true.
You know, blood does a lot.
So no, I did not find anything within my sources about cell replacement. What did you find?
Nobody's talking about that on the ground?
I mean, I don't really know how to search that, if I'm being honest.
How old is my body?
I don't know.
Okay, so here's what I found.
Okay, tell us.
First off, apparently about 25% of your body mass is purely fluid outside the cells.
Well, that kind of makes sense to me.
Which I thought was really interesting.
I
But
thought
anyway.
it would be more.
Okay, so here's what I found. The average age of all cells in the human body is 7 to 10 years.
Oh.
But that doesn't mean the cells replace themselves every 7 to 10 years. At the individual level, cell renewal happens at different rates. So what they're saying is, if
Okay.
you took the ages of all of the cells, averaged them out together, you get 7 to 10 years old.
Okay.
But there is wide variation between the cells.
Oh,
So a lot of cells get replaced way more often than 7 years.
sure.
Stuff like blood cells get replaced every 4 months. And the cells that line your guts get replaced every 3 to 5 days.
Oh.
But organs can take a really long time to replace themselves. Muscle, get this, can last 30 to 50 years. And I also saw that it can take
What?
yes, up to 15 years for muscle cells to heal from injury.
15.
Isn't that crazy?
That makes so much sense.
Yeah. And here's something else interesting I learned about muscle.
Okay.
Building or growing muscle, it's not actually an accurate term. It doesn't
Oh.
actually add more muscle cells to your body. It just increases the size of each individual cell. So you're not really adding muscle to your body. You already have the muscle cells that you're going to have when you're
way.
grown. You're just swelling and strengthening the existing muscle. Did not know that.
That is cool.
Super cool. But let's address my 2 big doubts that I brought up to you when you made this claim. The first 2 things I said, what about your brain?
Yeah.
And she wasn't sure. And then I said, what about bones? And she
I
wasn't
said
sure.
7 years.
So I had assumed this is how ignorant a human being can be,
Okay.
despite reading tons of books and working in the news industry.
What?
I wasn't sure if bones were made out of cells. Like maybe bones are like teeth and
I mean, I didn't
hair.
think so either before I saw the cell thing.
You didn't think they were made out of cells?
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
But they are, right?
They stick around. Yes, they are made out of cells.
Yeah.
They do live, and they get replaced around every 10 years.
That's dope.
But cells in the heart, eyes, a lot of the cells in the brain, they last a lifetime. That's all you got. So
That's all we got?
That's all we got. So no new cells for the brain for things that control stuff like memory and language.
Well,
so
that
that old
sucks.
brain you got, it's the same old junky brain that you've had for a while.
Junkie brain.
Anyway, thanks so
Okay.
much for bringing up this wild topic at random.
It is. We learned a lot.
We learned. I don't think I've ever learned so much from these segments. If you
I just
guys,
realized you said thanks so much, and I said it is. Thanks a lot. That's what's
that's
happening.
the proper response.
That's what's happening in my brain right now. Like, thank you.
You're tired. All right. If you guys have ever heard something like this and you've wondered whether it's true, don't waste your day Googling. Send us an email. Let us find out.
We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. All right. When we come back, I get stuck without a car, and I actually really enjoy it. And then, of course, we've got your no-class picks. Stay with us.
Welcome back. Sometimes one of us has an experience we feel so strongly about that we gotta write a letter. Sometimes to a person, sometimes to something else. Here's Brian with a letter to San Francisco after his visit with Lily, in which she opened his eyes and mind to the city.
Dear San Francisco, we've known each other for a while now, but it wasn't until my last visit to see you that I think I finally understand where you're coming from and why you've always been such a fascination to me. You see, growing up in LA and only ever living here, my perspective was necessarily limited by my horizons. But LA's horizons are so much bigger than anywhere else, so big they can be hard to comprehend. And I've finally gotten a chance to meet your big brothers, the cities of the East Coast. And they're so unimaginably different from where I'm from, but so similar to you. After spending my life driving the roads of LA, I'll probably never be able to think of those East Coast streets, and your own, as anything other than small. But that's part of what I love about them, and what I realized on this trip I love about you. It's all so manageable. You set me free from the vehicular mindset, the belief in the reliance on a machine that isolates me from the people and the world around me. Every morning when I stepped outside the door of my hotel on Fillmore Street, I knew my legs could carry me to wherever I wanted to go. The entirety of the city was always in reach, and if I wanted to speed it up a bit, a bus ride was never longer than a 10-minute wait. There's a feeling of accomplishment and a freedom in crossing an entire city on foot. I experienced it for the first time when Morgan took me to Boston and then later in Manhattan, and both times, it didn't make those cities feel smaller, it made them feel more complete. Cities built on a scale for humans. It's hard to leave your house in LA because things feel so far away. It's so huge and so stretched out. It can take an hour to get outside your little community to experience something new. The roads don't end, they go on forever. That can be its own liberating experience, but it's also a lonely one. And the most surprising thing about being crammed on a bus is that it's actually more pleasant than being kept at a safe distance from people inside your car. It's much easier to dehumanize someone when you think of them as just another vehicle on the road getting in your way and slowing you down. I saw some wild stuff on the bus in the streets of your city, but I was always aware that they were people doing it. And honestly, nobody bothered me. No, that didn't happen until I was back in LA, where one of the first guys I saw was watching a Netflix show on his phone at full volume. I saw a lot more class in San Francisco. People saying hello, people having conversations. They taught me a few lessons I didn't know I needed to learn. Like how eating a box full of chicken wings on the bus is actually deeply no class. Not only because of the smell I'm forcing the other passengers to inhale, but because of the tiny bits of food that inevitably fly off and hit the people in front of me in the back. How monstrous I must have looked with 10 people facing me as I ripped slim pieces of meat off the bones of a wing, trying to avert their gaze. What is it that governs human behavior in a city? What is it that makes so many people here act like selfish jerks? I'm convinced it isn't laws, it's just culture. And there's some connection between the constant need to be cool that you see in LA and a deep lack of class. It was nice to get a break from cool, that peculiar SoCal disease. So thanks for letting me be just another guy walking the streets and for letting me feel like that was enough. Can't wait to see you again, Brian.
Why am I crying?
You always cry. It's time to wind down the show here, bring it to a close the only proper way with our no class picks of the week.
You're just a jealous,
No class.
lazy bum.
No class pick.
All right, my no class pick this week involves one group of people, but really there are enablers out there.
Okay.
People who write in books. And maybe I should clarify here. If it's your book, do whatever the hell you want with it. Draw pictures in the margins, cut out the pages, who cares? But I'm a guy who likes to buy used books. Why? Because they're cheaper, obviously.
Yeah.
Most of my books are used. Some are really old, but they're still great. But sometimes I buy a used book and the previous owner has written all over the damn thing. That book should not be allowed to be sold.
Yeah.
Do you know how distracting it is to try to read something and try to ignore someone else's highlighting or underlining of certain passages?
Yeah.
I don't care that you thought this was important. I'm reading the book now. I want to decide what's important. And how can booksellers sell these things? They should be sold for pennies.
Yeah.
Not even close to full price. That book is ruined now. People that do the writing should never give them away or sell them, and the sellers shouldn't put them up for sale. So no class. That's it.
Agree. Well, the booksellers could do something where they either erase it if it's in pencil or put something over it.
I mean,
They could fix it.
not with some of the ones that I see. I
yeah.
mean, geez, the whole...
like everywhere.
Everywhere.
That's so annoying.
It's terrible.
Agree.
Thank you
Good job.
for validating me.
Okay, we have a listener pick.
Oh, yes.
Hey, so I have your new no class pick for this week or next week or whatever. Dude, I had to go off on stupid dumb couple because I was leaving and I see their dog in their car panting with all the windows rolled up. So then I go, and I turn back around. I back up to the restaurant. And I get out of my car and I go up to them. I'm like, hi, do you guys have your car on? And they were like, no. And I was like, you can't have your dog inside the car with the windows rolled up. And the stupid guy was like, oh, well, everybody told me that I needed to get him out of here. And I was like, that's fine, but you can't have a dog inside of a car with the windows rolled up. Like, do you not know how fast it gets hot in the middle of a car? And then the girl gets up, and I was like, honestly, I should probably just call the police on you guys. Like, I literally said that. And then I walk in, and I walk inside, and I tell everybody inside, I'm like, oh, my God, these, POSs can't believe that. And I come out, and I just had to, jab one more, and I was like, you shouldn't have a dog. And he was like, I think you should shut the fuck up. I was like, okay. But, yeah.
Amazing.
Damn.
Amazing. Yeah.
Damn. You know that I'm 100% on her side.
Oh, 1,000%.
Super.
I'm so proud of her for just, ugh.
You got to let people know.
You got to let people know.
Let them know. What's the worst they're going to do? They're going to tell you to shut the fuck up.
Exactly.
Like, whatever, dude.
Yeah, whatever, dude.
I still won this one.
I'm going to, yeah.
I'm not a piece.
Yeah.
Cooking
You got to
a
look out
dog.
for the animals
Look out for the animals, man.
at all costs.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah. It would have been.
What trash. That makes me so happy.
Dude.
She was so bold.
Trying to
I
blame
love
the
a
restaurant.
bold.
Well, I can't have it here, so I guess I got to put it in the car with
Yeah,
the windows
what?
up. No.
No.
That's not. No.
You brought the dog out.
Yeah,
It's your
exactly.
responsibility
You're responsible
to
for
figure
the dog.
this out.
Yes. All right. Great call. Very no class.
I love a bold call out.
Very no class.
That's one of my favorites lately. Okay, my no class pick relates to our listeners' pick.
Okay.
My no class pick is me. While you were gone on your trip to visit Lily in San Francisco, I ate a pizza. And yes, this was a treat. I'm not berating myself. But while I was eating said pizza, Mala, our cat, was yelling at me. And then she even stole a piece of pizza while I wasn't looking. But she didn't get very far. And I was like, get out of here, you little thief. And that's when I realized that her bowls were empty. And then I was the no class trash cat mom of 2024.
She was hungry.
My poor baby was hungry.
She was so hungry. She's going after pizza,
and
man.
I was eating a whole pizza in front of her. And now the whole world knows how truly no class I am.
Very no class. Very no class.
Our listener needs to call me out.
You're crying again.
This is just sleep deprivation.
Okay, all right. It's not that bad. She lived. You realized your mistake and you filled her bowl.
And she was very happy after that.
She doesn't actually want pizza more than cat food.
No, she didn't.
She wants the cat food.
She licked it and she was like, "Ugh, come on."
That's good.
This is all you brought home?
It's good that you learned.
I did.
All right, guys. That is our show. Thanks so much for being here and hanging with us. I want to announce something here for you all. Our true OG listeners who've been with us in this early and most important phase of TNC's creation. You all come back every week and have helped us make a show that people actually want to listen to, and we want you to know we appreciate you, and we want to show you how much we really care and how special you are to us. We've got some big things planned in the next couple months, and we're going to be trying to get a bunch of new listeners, but you guys listening now are our VIPs, and we want to give you guys some kind of like gift, either like piece of merch, a t-shirt, something that we're going to be making in the next few months, and we want to give it to you for free, and we want you guys to have a special status in case we blow up all big, and we want you guys to have priority on stuff that may come up in the future. So do us a favor, send us an email or contact us anywhere you want so that we can, add you to a list of TNC VIPs. And then when we figure out what our gift to you is going to be, we'll reach out to you, send it your way, free of charge. Don't even worry about it. You guys are the freaking homies.
Awesome.
So the deadline is going to be March 31st. We're going to remind, over the next couple weeks, but deadline will be March 31st. After that, everyone is a commoner. So like and or subscribe on whatever platform you're listening on. We're on all the apps. Episodes also on YouTube. We appreciate you guys so much. Reach out to us everywhere. Instagram @That'sNoClass. You can also send us an email or a voicemail. That'sNoClass@gmail.com. Call 877-7-NO-CLASS, or as Morgan likes to say, 877-766-2527. Call us up. We love having your stories on the show.
Stay classy.
Stay classy and have a great week.